Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. On tonight's agenda, 6:05, we're going to go into a non-public session for the Old Town Hall. And then we're going to be reviewing at 6:30 the budget for the Heritage Commission. And then at 7 o'clock, we're going to be reviewing and having a discussion regarding the state's position on Smithville Cemetery. 8 o'clock, we're going to be reviewing employee health insurance, and 8:30, finalize the ambulance MOU, and we'll follow up with any other business. Any opening remarks? Anything for the public?
Just a general comment. We have only one more functional meeting this year on the 18th. I did not know what we wanted to do on the 24th and the 30th. 17th, excuse me, 17th. On the 24th and the 31st, did we want to try to schedule something in between, or did we want to cancel those entirely?
Cancel them entirely. Our next meeting would be until January 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we have different
Do
night.
you have your schedule for the budget reviews?
So budget reviews should be pretty much wrapped up by next week.
Okay. I would propose that we cancel, but what's your thoughts?
3 weeks is a long time to go in between. I mean, I'm available on a Monday evening if, you might have some conflicts, John, but I'm available pretty much whenever through that entire period. So
Yeah.
I'm willing
What
to
if
work.
we got on the agenda, I don't have anything on the agenda on my notes after tonight, although some of these might get pushed off. We had,
So what we have for next week right now is 4 budget reviews: moderator, elections and registrations, government buildings and town offices. Then we need to have a discussion on the animal control officer position.
but it's not something that's urgent.
That's
I mean,
for
we've
your-
gone all
yeah.
year.
Yeah, I'm just, I think Tim was just curious from a budgeting perspective, whether, because he's got a couple of potential candidates, and if he pushes them off too long, and the position is funded, then he's probably gonna lose them and start from scratch again.
Mm-hmm.
So the concern was, is there gonna be a position, is it gonna be funded or not? I don't know if we have to go into a lot more detail other than that, but I assume that's gonna be, a 30-minute discussion.
Okay, what else?
And then that's it, then any other business that comes up.
Do we have any public hearings that we need to schedule anywhere in that?
Well, it would not be in that time frame.
Okay. No, obviously, but I'm just saying that we have to prepare for.
I obviously don't want to meet on either the 24th or 31st.
Right.
If there was something that Scott felt we needed to have happen, I think we would.
Yeah, we still come in to sign the
Right.
manifest
Yeah,
and whatnot,
just-
so that's.
So that was my follow-up question. If we decide to cancel, Scott, when would the payroll forms be ready for signature, or when we should be coming?
Well, typically Roger has those wrapped up on Tuesday afternoons.
Right, but Tuesday afternoon is Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
So, we can,
Well, just double
we
check.
can make
sure.
it a time certain.
If you
and
would,
then,
please, and just
yeah.
let us know.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, I'm good with canceling the 2 meetings.
I'm good.
okay. So we'll cancel the meetings on
Yeah.
the,
And then-
Okay.
Yeah, and then
24th,
obviously if something comes
21st.
up, just let us know.
yeah.
Do you need a motion? Motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A3. Discussions having to do with property sale and purchase of town property.
Second.
All in favor?
Rather amazing, you know, I spent most of the weekend shoveling my roof, so I didn't have too much of a load. As in 1700s house, so I didn't think it was really built. I have 3 feet of snow and 2 inches already.
Mark, you need a copy of this?
You know, next year, we should really just take a Saturday and do the whole budget one Saturday.
You don't have a tap for it.
You know, send out pizza,
We
sodas,
didn't last
have a
year.
hell of a good time.
I don't even know where last year's went.
There we go.
How's the old town hall run?
That to do with real estate and potentially a transaction, so.
Doug. Archambault without an E.
No,
No E. Growing up in New Orleans, the first time I spelled his name out, I put an E in it. He goes, "I'm French, but I'm not that French."
So what is the latest on that? Has the state made any concessions?
Jason, are you here to present the budget for the Heritage Commission?
I don't know if this thing will do that, but I am on the Heritage Commission, I'm a junior member.
So are there other members coming?
So they said both Mark and Fran.
Okay,
So the chairman and secretary are supposed to be on the way.
okay, thank you.
Want to revisit the appointments while we're waiting?
Yes.
So, went back and looked at the RSA, and the RSA says it's whatever the legislative body decides as far as setting terms. However, Fran sent me over some minutes from about a year ago, December 20th, 2018, where the commission discussed having appointments beginning in March, as you had suggested, and have them for 1, 2, or 3 years. So 2 members would be appointed for 1 year, 2 members would be appointed for 2 years, and 1 would serve a 3-year appointment to get that staggering
Mm-hmm.
until, and then do every 3 years after that, for everybody. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So the RSA was clear as mud. Left it to the legislative body. I went back and looked at the original warrant article. The specifics weren't in the warrant article, so the legislative body never really decided, so that leaves it to the governing body, which is good.
And I would be in favor of making sure they are staggered.
Mm-hmm. I'm good with that as well.
I'm fine.
So it looks like they've requested to go 1 year for next year and then make the change in the following 2021.
But I would say that we make these appointments now
Mm-hmm.
and have them carried as staggered, you know, whether it's a 1 year, 3 year.
Yeah, let's
To let
get the
them have-
system in place
Yeah.
now.
But have them make the decision on who's gonna fill 1s, 2s, and 3s.
I don't know, they gave us the list of
I know.
names, so.
Well,
1, 2, 3, 1.
Hey, you guys,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me for interrupting, but I wanted you to know I got an email from Mark Hopkins, and he said his brother just passed away. I didn't ask any questions, I just said, he said, I'm not gonna be able to come to tonight's meeting, my brother just passed away. I just thought I'd let you know.
He must have had more than,
You would have.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
I know,
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
and I didn't ask.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
well, let's ask Fran if she's comfortable with that and, you know, go from there.
Can I ask you guys a question? Did you see the caveat that we had in there about attending meetings? And if someone doesn't attend, you know, like 4 meetings out of the year, that we don't think that they should continue to serve on the Heritage Commission?
That's from these minutes. You can
Yeah.
get a copy of those.
You did send them around.
Unless it's in an RSA, you can't
Okay.
do
We have
that.
2 members who don't come to any of the meetings, and it makes it ineffectual for us, really, you know?
Well, if they don't, then just, if you're the chair, ask
I'm
them, whoever the chair is, ask them to,
Step
you know,
down.
step down. Yeah, maybe they have no interest.
I
Just,
thought it was 3 meetings in a row.
no, there's nothing except for,
It was for the budget committee.
I think
Oh, okay.
that's the one I'm thinking, yes. And if that they don't, and it's by the RSA, so, I am not familiar with any land use board RSA that has that, but I'm thinking the easier way of doing it is just approach them and,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think you're hurting their feelings any.
I don't think so. No. But that was the reason for our wanting to nominate someone now to join the group, because we barely have we have like 3 people.
Are these 4 active?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Well, and the new one will be very active.
yeah, good, good, yes. My proposal, I think the board's in agreement is that these would be set up as staggered terms.
Yeah.
The simplest way is just take the first name 1 year, second one 2 years, 3 years, and down to a 1 again.
Okay.
Is that, you've got a different preference as the members, how that gets numbered?
No, that sounds fine. I do have a question. We had decided that what we would do is follow, I think, is it March? There's something about a date in March where maybe other committees re-up, or it has something to do with the budget, it has something to do with the fiscal stuff.
It has more to do, I believe, with the elected officials.
Oh, okay.
Everything happens in March.
March, okay.
So that's,
So we just thought we should get into that, but,
I'm thinking if you take, for example, zoning board is not an elected, it's an appointed. So typically it's when you appoint them, it's for so many years from that point.
from the date of the appointment.
That's been
Okay.
appointed, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
So it's more of whether or not we stay on top of when we've made these appointments.
I think that might have been one of the motivations for trying to get it in sync with the
With the March.
Yeah,
most
maybe.
of the rest of the town. so that it would be easier to
Keep track of.
follow, but I don't.
But we have so many that are,
No, I know.
they're all over, yeah.
So we can try a spreadsheet and see if that works.
So do we have a motion?
Motion to accept these appointments and change,
Just to get the years with it.
oh. So, you're going 1, 2, 3, 1?
Yeah,
Okay. Mark Hopkins for 1 year, Fran Atchison for 2 years, Jason Somro for 3 years, and Joanne Meshna for 1 year.
I'll
For a
second
second.
that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, you can read.
We can't do 10 years, so.
Yeah.
It's called prison sentence. Okay.
You ready to start the budget process?
January 1. That's when they
You heard my
start.
question?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Why wouldn't it start
That's
now?
of next year?
It's not now.
Right, but I mean, if it's 3 years.
3 years.
Okay.
From now,
From today.
yes.
Okay.
Now, as, that's when you've been appointed. Now you have to go get sworn in
Yeah.
through Jessica and
Yeah.
And do remind your other members to swear in and get sworn in as well.
Absolutely.
Isn't it the swearing date that's the actual start date?
No,
Let's see.
I think
this
it's
is the appointment date. The swearing date's a different date.
It's not the date of renewal though? It's
No.
not the date of expiration
No.
or renewal?
No,
Okay.
From the date of appointment.
I didn't know what else to call it. Didn't wanna say term.
Hopefully nobody expires.
I could've said termination, which would have been much uglier.
Who's going to be presenting the budget?
I can, but can I borrow a copy? I'm sorry, I have like
Yeah.
everything.
It's really complicated.
No, I know.
So what do you do with all this money?
Well, I'll tell you something.
Apparently nothing, they haven't spent it.
Yeah, we haven't, and, the reason, we failed last year to go to the, New Hampshire, oh God.
Preservation Alliance.
Thank you, Preservation Alliance, biannual meeting. So they meet every other year, they're not gonna be meeting this year. So, so we had it in the budget last year and we didn't take advantage of it. And what I put in the budget for this year for education is again $200, and, even though they're not having their, meeting or their sessions, their educational sessions, I was looking around, I didn't see other groups that had, things that we could go to, educational things that we could go to, but I did see that we could, bring speakers in to talk to us about, historical and heritage related things. And so I'm thinking, it's been a success for, the Historical Society. You know, they've brought people in, and the library has brought people in to talk, and they've been pretty well attended, and I thought maybe that we could offer something like that to the town too.
Great idea. I would suggest a different source for your revenue though,
Okay.
because we have the Stearns
Oh,
Burton,
Stearns, okay.
you know, so
Yeah.
that's how the Historic Commission does it, and the library does it, is
Oh, they
by
do?
using
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
those
Okay.
resources.
And the Stearns Burton is actually looking for ways to spend their money.
Perfect. Okay,
So I would,
okay, we can
Change that to
definitely do
$1.
that. We haven't really been traveling anywhere. The one thing that we have
Mhm.
not done before is fundraising, but I know that we need to start doing that because, I wanna jump down actually to, the assessments.
Let's
The
save
old-
that for the end.
No, because the surprise is, we know that there's really no funding for that. And we know that we need that money in order to get grants to do any work on either building. We have to have a valid, up-to-date assessment, but we can go after grant money for the assessments. And so we were thinking that maybe we could pull those off.
Why is the assessment that the town's already paid for and has done nothing
Because
with?
it's not up to date, and the building has changed over 15 years.
Really? What's happened?
Well, I can't tell you.
I
And-
can.
And an assessor,
Go ahead
an
then.
assessor would
We
help.
have a new sill.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
And that's about it. Painting,
Yeah.
I mean, if that,
Well, I will
Keep going.
tell you, I understand that maybe that we would perhaps consider that valid, but to get a grant, it wouldn't be considered valid.
why? Have you gone for a grant that they said you don't have an updated one, you're denied?
I was told that we would need an updated one by, someone from the Preservation Alliance,
Okay.
that
Have
they
you
would need a current,
contacted the firm that did the
yeah. They're the
assessment?
ones who gave us these new assessments, estimates for assessments.
Just so I'm clear, are these dollar figures a cost to the town to do an assessment? Or
Just to
Yes,
do an
just the
assessment.
assessment.
And what are we assessing?
This is
all Just
The condition of the building?
The historical character,
it's
and
not even worth that much.
that's what I'm,
Yeah, I got
Not a clue.
Yeah.
$11,000? Yeah, that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
and we had, there was one done, I know I have a copy of it,
Yeah, I do too.
and nothing's been done to the building, so I find it not problematic, but hard to digest why an assessment done by a registered architect X amount of years ago would have any different sway on what you want to
I
do
know,
with
and I
it now.
think the only thing that they would say is, especially with older buildings, given the conditions, that things could deteriorate in 15 years, and they don't know how it would deteriorate, so they wouldn't know whether or not that original evaluation still held.
Again, I'm confused here, because an assessment to determine whether the building is habitable, has structural issues, that's one thing, okay, I get that. There's also, you told me differently, though, that this is an assessment to its historical roots? Is that right? Am I understanding that right, or am I misunderstanding?
They kind of combine both. They don't give you an engineering analysis to say, you know, you need to replace this. The one that we have now does not provide you with an engineering analysis that, you know, this needs to be replaced with X, Y, Z, okay? They're just saying, you know, the period it was built, and back then, that period of time, this architectural detailing and whatnot,
Okay.
you know, and this has been added or deleted, whatever. It's more of a,
Okay, it's trying to determine how original the building is, what changes have been made over the time, which presumably the one you're referring to would have covered that. We know nothing's been done since then, therefore, that's probably accurate. What is
Yeah,
this
but-
assessment gonna get us beyond that?
Well, the only thing I can say is what I said before, like, for example, that original assessment talked about the sill and how it was deteriorated, and that had to do with the soundness of the structure of the building. And we have taken care of that.
Right.
They talked about obvious things like there's no running water, it's not habitable. So it would have to be, in order to use the building, in order to restore the building, we would want to use the building. And in order to use the building, we would need running water, we
use it?
would need,
How would you use it? In what context would you use the building?
well, there are many options, but one of the things that we were talking about was making it available to the community. So you could make it available to the community for a variety in a variety of ways. It could, you could rent it out, for, I don't know, social gatherings. You could have, one of the things that we've been talking about that the town definitely needs is maybe some kind of an elder thing for the daytime, you know, places for people to congregate in the town. There is no place for anyone to congregate in the town. And it's important to preserve a building that's historically significant.
I don't have any objection to that. I have an objection to $11,000 with nothing being done to the building other than another report. That
Well,
bothers me.
there are two buildings there.
Well, I see
So I know what you're
11,000 and
saying.
12, I haven't even
Yeah.
gone to the schoolhouse yet.
Yeah,
I'm focused on the town
Okay.
hall and trying to say, well, if you're asking for $11,000 for an assessment, what I'm hearing is we have a previous assessment relative to the historical nature of it. If we're looking at doing something more substantial with the building, i.e. renovation, updating, you know, all of that's fine. But again, I can't see spending $11,000 at this point without an understanding of what its use would be.
Okay, let's stop there for a second. Jason?
I would like to point out that Fran started off by saying, we talked about, at the Heritage Commission, we said we're gonna withdraw them.
I see. Okay, so you're
They're not an issue right now.
Okay, so
If
they're
you
not-
wanna discuss what they're for and stuff, I think that's
No, that's
fine.
fine.
But I mean, just a point of order,
Yeah.
it did start
I
off.
understand.
but we have been told, but we'll seek funding elsewhere. We have been told that in order to get grants to do the actual renovations and whatever they wanna,
They want to.
you know, wanna make sure that the building's sound. And so if we give them something that's 15 years old, they're gonna say, how do I know that that has anything to do with whether or not there are 4 walls standing upright? That's all.
But to answer your question, Jack, just to answer your question, the Board of Selectmen have, as one of our goals, is to get that building into a condition that the town can use it for activities, different gathering areas. Right now, we don't have a space that the town owns that can
A
accommodate that.
community center.
Something to that
I
effect.
understand.
As everyone's aware, we had the sill replaced, we've had drainage put in. We're meeting with the abutters to look at our options for septic and water and parking.
I see.
And until all of those building blocks and code requirements are vetted to know that, okay, we can make this all work
Right.
before we go and start investing money into bringing that building to a usable condition. So that's where we're at now.
Okay.
And that was why we came to the decision we did,
Yeah.
because when Selectman Hamlet was there, he told
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'll be honest.
Barking up the wrong
The old
tree.
schoolhouse, is that the same in terms of the board's position, or is it just?
The old schoolhouse right now is pretty much just a storage building. We're not looking to use it for a gathering area or whatever. It's a historic structure. Let's just make sure we maintain it so
Yeah.
it doesn't get into a derelict condition. Whereas the Old Town Hall requires more actionable items to make it
Okay.
useful.
The one question I have, and maybe since you're here, you can answer this. So, a couple years ago, someone went and registered it with the historic registry as a historic
National.
building, National Historic Registry.
Long time ago.
Right, but now does that? So we're looking at doing these things to the building. Is it being registered as, you know, National Historic Registry? Does that restrict what we can and cannot do to the building? Because I know in some aspects they tell you can bring it back up to its glory, but you can't do anything else. Meaning, have we even checked to make sure that the items we're looking at doing to make it a usable building, are those even okay?
Having worked on National Historic Register
Mhm.
properties, and it comes under the National Park Service that has it. And they are totally with the understanding that to have an old building serve the same purpose it did 200 years
Mhm.
ago is not ever gonna make that building restorable.
Right.
But they do allow you to make changes to it.
Okay.
So there's no, they do have their excuse me, and they're all published online, what their guidelines are for what you should be trying to do. There's no mandatory requirement that you have to do this or have to do that. They're guidelines, and that's what they're looking
Rules
for.
of what you can't do, not what you can do.
No,
That's
like,
that's more of a local historic district.
yeah,
Having lived in Salem, Massachusetts, a local historic district can, cut you to the knees. They have total jurisdiction over what can be done to the exterior of the building, but on the national, that's not.
You
Okay.
have to go in
It's
front
just-
of a review.
Yeah, no, it was just something I've always had. I just had a
They're
question.
usually more concerned with the exterior appearance of the building
Mhm.
staying.
You
There.
can't paint it blue with vinyl siding.
What you do to the inside to make it a functional building
There
for the
goes window
21st
frame.
century is a different story.
Okay.
Okay, but you don't have to go in front of them and submit
No.
your plans and
No.
approval
No.
or anything like that?
no.
These
You
are-
do that if you're trying to get their approval to put it on the National Historic Register. For example,
Well, you're saying.
I don't know, I wanna say maybe 10 years ago, maybe, and I could be off in time, but the center of New Ipswich got put on the National Historic Register just as a contributing community, and that's why there were different things. Granted, back then there was no gas station, but they look at it and they say, okay, well, that's not contributing, but these other buildings are, and like a lot of that area has been.
Your house?
I don't know why they threw that one in there.
I know.
Which one's your house?
1802.
One down the street here?
Yeah.
You've got the, what the heck's the name?
Not Apple.
Not Appleton
Not
Manor.
next door.
No, not Appleton Manor.
I've been through Appleton Manor. It's a
Yeah.
neat- it's a
That's
neat
really
building.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
These are estimates for a full assessment, 11 and 12,000.
And
Why-
we went to the people who did the
Right,
assessment
right.
initially, hoping that we would get a deal.
Right.
So,
They shouldn't need to do a full assessment.
I
They
know.
should need to assess the differences from the last assessment.
I
They
know.
don't need to go all the way back. It's already been done,
yeah.
right?
But just to be clear, that's not the budget today. Today,
Right,
the budget
right.
is $500.
No, but,
Yeah.
but you look at the numbers and you argue.
It
whether
just
or
makes
not
no
it's
sense
really
that
No,
you have
you're
to
right.
pay for it all
You're-
over.
You're absolutely right, but
What do we do?
You
but
just
I'm
need-
gonna play Jeff right now. That's not related to the budget.
Like I was just looking at
So one
They
quick one is
renamed
if
it
we
the
go
Office
after a
of
grant,
Strategic
Right.
an assessment, we might get
Okay.
advice from them
Alright,
on
so
who
yeah.
to
I'm fine with this.
talk to about doing an assessment.
Mhm.
And there may be some other folks out there that would be more reasonable.
Did you go back to them and say, hey, you already did one 10 years ago, why are you charging so much? Or they just-
No, we have to get something.
Motion to
get
accept the
something
budget at
in
$500.
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'd go back to them and say, I'm not.
Do you have a second?
Yeah.
I'll second
Hey,
it.
Second.
hey.
I thought it'd take 10 minutes, it took 12.
Sorry.
And that's only because we didn't talk about it.
No, I mean, so we've got 4 line items, each had a dollar amount in it. I know I heard the education was going to $1.
No, we're gonna leave it where it is,
And you
because
cutting in travel?
You can,
Yeah, really.
Huh?
I believe
Dave found some actual classes that are available to them through other places.
the state they always change their name. Now it's the Office of Strategic Planning. It used to be Office of Energy and something else, but they do planning and they do things with historic. They may do it in conjunction with New Hampshire Preservation Alliance that you referred to
Yeah.
earlier, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there are many different groups out there, and I know the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance is always putting on workshops. Whether
Yes,
they're
they
always
are. They're
applicable,
all about barns this year.
yeah, or how to repair a window, but I mean, I don't want it to not have you have an opportunity.
So, you did actually end up recently ordering some things under supplies, that was
Yes.
actually over the $100 line item budget.
Yes.
You better start sliding some money, slide some money from the
No,
So,
side.
but
well,
you
my
know what
question
they are?
is, yeah, what do you anticipate for next year? I mean, is 100 gonna be enough, or?
It should be, I think we're gonna wanna get one for Joanne, right? But, it's the, historic books for Life in New Ipswich.
Well, not like the books.
Yeah.
No, not that, but the
There was
historic
two
books
two
for,
Yeah,
popular books.
Mm-hmm.
right, and what I'm just saying is, if you're gonna need more for next year, then the $100 that's in that line item won't cover it. Now, if we start moving money around, that's a different story, but.
yeah. I think we'll be fine unless we go to a class and they say, you know, you should all buy $100 planning books.
Well, by the way, you do know that those New Ipswich history books are available for free online.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the entire thing is on.
Yeah,
online.
but you have to sit on your phone or
No.
print off.
I print
computer.
mine. I print
Or
mine.
on
If you've got a Kindle, I don't, nowadays, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is,
Just-
you're right.
Just-
And we talked about
Yeah.
that, but
I'm just letting you know in case you didn't know. That's
as
all.
members of the Heritage Commission, we're old fashioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't wanna rely on power.
Like
All right, so we're done with the.
I'm concerned about the travel.
Okay.
Who
I
gets travel subsidies and who doesn't?
Well, that was one of the
I'm
discussions
confused.
last week as to whether or not we wanted to set a policy as to whether or not travel will be
Yeah,
funded or
there's
not
no-
Because we had talked the week before, about 2 weeks when you were here.
Yeah, but-
Somebody, we took it away,
Planning
saying
board,
that,
yeah.
was it planning
Yeah,
board?
it's planning board.
And then last week, I forget which one, assessors, maybe one
We
of them.
approved a
It
couple of
popped
them.
up again, and
You're
we
giving
should
fire.
set a policy on what we're gonna do. Not tonight, but we
Mhm.
do need to do something.
Yeah.
Kick it down the road.
You don't want us to make a hasty decision now, would you?
Where's the town office?
Not being
budget?
fully
Is there
reformed.
travel on that town office budget?
I doubt it.
Listen, I want travel. I travel, but I
know
don't
there's
trust
travel.
anybody. I gotta go through 3 towns and 2 states to get it. And I'm not kidding.
You can do it through one town, but you're not gonna drive.
I've been up that way. It's not fun.
I agree. Jason,
what was the name of that agency or department in the state?
give me 1 second.
Are we done with the budget?
Yes.
Yep.
And
Thank you
thank
for
you
that,
for
guys.
I gotta drive 30 minutes to get here. I'm gonna make it with these people a while.
This car warmed up longer than.
Mark and Jay had another brother, his name was Michael.
Oh, okay.
I believe that's, you know,
Okay, I was gonna say, did Jay go down? I thought he
I
had
just,
some.
I guess he was, yeah.
So
There was older, he was the oldest of the 3 of them, lived in Ashby.
It's called the New Hampshire Office of Strategic Initiatives,
Lewis.
Oh, I know you must last
ONEP
meeting.
is what I've heard.
Department come in, and it was a bit of a fiasco.
Okay.
because
Could I
there
ask
was
for one
no
more clarification?
Systematic
Terms
reconciliation of revenues
Uh,
and expenses.
Mark 1 year, Fran 2 years,
I think Dave
you
said we're
3
gonna
years,
revisit that
Joanne 1 year.
sometime, But if
It's just a real.
Nicole could get her act together before
Thank
she
you.
asks.
You did
for
want 3 years,
salary
didn't you?
increase.
Yeah.
Make me
You
feel
know,
a lot
Well, you
better.
can keep it if
See,
you'd like.
that's-
Yep, we got
that was
plenty of
a- I
copies. We
gave
feel
her-
plenty of
I
trees around
made-
here.
I know you did.
I think,
I mean, you took her by the
Yeah.
hand for
Thank you.
Christ's
and it was easy, I'm like, if you're filling it out to submit it to Roger,
I
you,
can,
you put it in your computer.
Well,
It's
there's
that
no
easy.
reconciliation between town information and her information.
the whole
and it's a-
file,
And,
It's a whole disaster.
just in case.
And I consider it half the job, not just arranging events, but
Thank you.
also
Yeah.
managing
Thank you.
Good night.
the money.
no, I agree. And that's been spoken about for
Ages.
3 years now.
We also have Bart's last correspondence
Okay.
to us on this subject. You know?
Okay, the only question I had on his email is in this sentence where it says, "We agreed that the access issue was second to the issue of exhuming bodies."
Mm-hmm.
How did you take that?
I would take that as what he's saying is, you know, we don't want to exhume bodies. That's number one. Then the second piece is, you know, if access needs to be granted, we're doing that. But I mean, I think what he's trying to say is the primary issue we're looking at is that we do not want to have to exhume bodies, plain and simple. So what do we do to not have to exhume bodies? That's how I take that.
See, when he says the access issue was second to the issue of exhuming bodies, I was taking, and again, that's why I just asked different interpretations. I was taking it as if though they were saying exhuming bodies is the primary issue, getting access is secondary. So,
Well,
it depends on how you
Right.
read it, and
Yeah, I mean,
everybody's got a different opinion. So.
it could be read both ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this should be the plan that we did not have because of the progress print
Yeah,
828.
right. Yeah,
Uh,
19.
Now, this one, and could I have the other plan, the one that we did have? Yeah, that one's it, right there. I'm just wondering how the line moves.
It really doesn't.
Hang on.
Yeah.
This is public drainage.
I don't think the grave sites move, but the drain line,
Well, if you go to this line here, this orange line, I don't think that orange line, the orange line and the blue line seem to be exactly the same. Because on here, the blue line at the bottom is on grade 10A.
Let's just overlay it on this plan.
Yeah, well, I'm that way you can look at that one, I can look at this one without having to push you out of the way.
yes, come on down.
If you
You
want
know
the,
the
you
kid
want
that
the
always
truth?
wants to sit in the back of the class?
Yeah, you're the one who sat back there.
Come on down.
So the blue line is at 10A. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. On here, it's also at,
But the toe of the drain now is here, and on here, it's right here.
Right. That's really what's moved, is that drain.
yeah.
So did they just throw out a 25-foot rule, or?
No, they did 25 feet, but they moved the starting line of 25 feet closer to the graves.
In other words, they're saying the toe of the drain, when we were scaling it at 40
They
feet,
was-
they agreed, yeah, that's 40 feet. But now we've got this plan, a survey plan that was done, and now that toe drain is closer to the grave sites than what.
Because weren't
This
we
plan.
looking at toe of the slope, and now they're saying toe of the drain?
No, we were
No.
That was
looking
the
at
other
the
way
toe.
around.
If you recall, their letter had stated they needed 25 feet from the toe of the drain, and we said, oh, we've been measuring everything from the toe of the slope, since the toe of the drain is up slope.
Mm-hmm.
When we measured that distance, I think we were somewhere around 40 feet. And we
Correct.
said, well, what's the issue? Well, and they agreed. Well, yeah, when you scale it, it's 40 feet, shouldn't be an issue. Oh, but we've got this plan now,
That says the toe of the drain is closer.
is closer. So,
Actual, or, I mean, have they gone?
well, they're saying it was surveyed, I believe in his letter, in the disappointment. The plan we're using is titled existing conditions. The plan the state is using is the same, but is a progress print. It is in color and includes an old, do you have that plan? Is
But
there a
there's-
stamp or anything
No,
on
there's
here
not.
for a
There's
survey?
No, and that's what we're
Engineering
saying. There's no engineering stamp.
Yeah.
There's gonna be something. Yeah,
So
this
would
is
our
a, this is a
certificate
new
because we have a
note.
stamp? No.
Not necessarily.
64.
Depends who produced the plan, but I would guess what they realized was they made a mistake in the
I think
location of that drain.
someplace on here, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure they said that they did, that they sent out a survey crew.
It says engineered by NA, checked by
Not
MSC.
applicable.
Right.
But, hang on. It says the purpose of this plan is to show existing conditions for Sauhegan flood control.
Yeah, 'cause it
Which
didn't make
that
any
note
sense
is
to put the
not
drain
on
in the middle of the slope.
this
You usually
drawing.
put it at the toe of the slope.
Makes sense.
I mean, I looked at it and I said, okay. Didn't make any sense, but
Performed
okay.
by
Right.
It could be
PD.
an MC.
That's what they were going with.
Yeah, 2013. They did it with the total station, so they surveyed it.
Yeah, that was surveyed.
Yep.
Yeah, that you don't get that level of detail without a survey.
I'm just wondering though, how they found the tow drain.
I'm guessing they used the toe of the slope, more than likely, not the actual swale that is up there.
I'm wondering if it would not be prudent.
Ollie, when that pipe comes out, is that a metal pipe or is that a concrete pipe? You've been down
Metal.
there. It is metal? Metal detector might
That's
find
what I
it.
was thinking. Mark it out.
Depends how deep it is, too.
That's true.
Yeah, but if not, you can always put a locator service on it. You know,
Well,
it's easy enough. Yeah,
Like finding a drain.
yeah.
Run a wire
Yep.
up the whole thing with a fish.
It's gonna be a tough thing connecting it to the tail, isn't it?
You know?
I think that's, just out of curiosity, do you have that 64 plan? The one that was the original plan recorded, should be a black and white with a lot of black on it. No, that's
It's-
too new,
I can see
that's
it.
too new.
It's about an
Yeah,
inch
the
down,
one with
yeah.
that stamp.
There you go.
Yeah, that one. I wonder, do they show where that? They don't even show that on here. I think that's the unknown right now, but they, I don't know what these lines here are referring to. I don't know if they measured something to get, to locate where that is, or whether they just established that and then they're measuring back to find out where the grades are.
Well, there's a pretty definitive line for the toe of the slope out
Yeah,
there.
no, there's these little red lines that are
The
coming
one
out,
that
whether
comes
they're,
perpendicular off of that, tow drain, it says tow drain located.
So,
But these dimensions here aren't listed, but I'm assuming these are
yeah,
the areas.
so he says, what these lines here are indicating, these ones that are coming off here, are they just topographical? What are they?
They don't look like it. I mean, this comes around through here, this comes off of this one here. So, I mean, that makes sense.
I'm looking at the
These-
perpendicular ones.
Right,
Yeah, no,
yeah, that's
I'm-
what he's saying, but like,
They
see,
don't-
see like these come here and they shoot off this way.
Those are
Is-
just contour lines.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, is that some sort of,
No, it's
Okay.
not. It's
No,
not.
it just doesn't,
I think what they were trying to do was get a dimension to those graves.
yeah, and there's no,
But they're not noted what it is.
there's no dimension shown.
Although they may have it in their, it's in their total
What have
station.
they responded to?
Well,
That-
on butters?
a butter lines?
Huh?
That's what it, here, it's like, if they're here, there are butters lines.
Yeah, but that's.
But that's not the same thing. The
I know.
butter line is a solid
Right.
dash, solid.
Yeah, I mean,
Unfortunate.
I think they were supposed to be dimension lines to
Yeah.
show offsets,
Yeah.
and they just never labeled them properly. Have you seen this thing? Let's send it down the table so everyone gets a peek at what's.
So what there's,
Are we all privy to that letter you're looking at?
Yeah, take my copy.
so what they're saying in the, yeah, they talk about the graves down here, what the colors mean.
So, let's just set the parameters. How much space between the toe drain and the grave sites are they asking for an
25 feet.
25 feet. So based on 25 feet, how many occupied sites are there
Where do we lease it?
It's all the ones in red
in the red?
In the red? What's
That-
the yellow doing? It's plot row. Oh, the yellow's vacant, is that it?
Those are unoccupied, vacant.
Oh.
Sold.
I got
Yeah,
it.
yellows should be sold but not used, reds are sold and used, blues are not sold, according to that. But, I mean, that, they're taking that information from 2014.
So,
So as long as we haven't done anything since 2014 as far as putting people in there,
so it looks like maybe 10 sites.
Kinda looks like it.
well, and then everything in the front too.
Yeah.
You got, well, I mean, at
Well,
least,
just this front corner, cause
Well-
there's their line here, right?
well, it's only if they accept our cutting them all the way out to the road.
Oh,
If they don't accept cutting them out to the road, then everything in that entire front area is an issue. But if they allow to go straight in from the road where we said, like, we'll cut down the trees, we'll grade it, and then they can stage somewhere else, but then we're fine.
Again, they're looking at that width of 25 feet. In my opinion, they're looking at the piece of equipment is here and they're excavating and they gotta get a truck by. Well, and again, not having the information of the depth of that drain pipe. Many times, and typical, is the excavator is straddling over that trench. They're just, tracks are on both sides, they're coming down. So why they need more space when they get to those grave sites than what, you know, it's a means and method type thing is what's,
Because we said that with an excavator, they can completely spin around, so a truck can be located behind them.
yeah,
Granted, the backfilling is a little more difficult, but it can be done.
yeah. And I mean, they don't need to be off the tow drain, they can be over it, you know. Now, granted, if they're digging down, I don't know, 30 feet, you know, then they're gonna need a
But the-
long-armed
yeah.
excavator.
But again, we're still gonna, no matter what happens, right now, we have the issue that all those graves that are in that easement, that are sold, can never be used.
And that's fine.
Right, but I'm just,
I-
so all that,
Gotta
we,
go somewhere.
well, they have to go somewhere, or their money has to be returned. But they can never be used.
Right, that to me is the minor issue. Right now, the main issue.
Well,
is
it's a minor issue to us, but to anyone who, like you
Yeah,
said, who
currently
has
family there.
who has family there. Like I said, we have one family where it's 3 of them in a row, and the middle one's used. So I understand that to us, that is the minimal issue, but to our voters, that's not a minimal issue. To our townspeople. So I just wanted to make sure that I mean, we're in public session. I wanted that to be very clear that, you know, for public information, if you are in that area and you have a grave, that's not where your body's gonna be put, or your family member's body's gonna be put. And I just wanted,
for those that have not.
already
Yes,
been there,
yeah.
yes. And then we have to, so then the next
Unless
issue
they're
is-
outside of
Unless
that
this can be
boundary area
clarified.
and the town can come to terms with the state
Yes.
on purchasing the property or whatever.
Purchasing it, yes,
Yeah, if
Bob.
they get clarified, then
Yeah,
yeah.
business as usual.
But right now, it should be, people should start to think about Plan B. And I just wanna make, to me, because I think when you see people in town talking about it, that's what they're worried about. You know, that's their concern.
Let's get that plan back here, please, if you're all set. Yeah.
So yeah, we're looking at,
We're looking at yellows. So all of this should not be an issue.
right, because there are no ones in there.
Right. These are occupied.
Yeah, the reds are occupied.
Right. But the yellows are
Oh, I'm sorry,
occupied. The
sorry.
red is sold.
Oh, sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
yellows are occupied.
The blue is not sold.
Right.
So there'll be no
One,
issue
2,
here.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
What are you
8.
counting?
Count yellows.
Right.
Why is it, why do the yellows matter? Those are occupied. So we're under the, for this discussion, let's say we're under the premise if they're occupied, they stay. What I was trying to look at is to see how many we have that are occupied and adjacents are sold that could be impacted
Mm-hmm.
by that requirement. So, occupied, 9 is sold. So, like this one here on row H, 7 and 8 are occupied, so if 9, although that's not sold, so
Yeah, it says
they're
not
not
so
an
low
issue.
as of 2014.
Well, actually, the only ones we should be looking at is it from this line down, because this is town property.
But that's the easement though.
But they have an
They don't have an easement. They, back up. They have an easement. We have perpetual use of the property.
As long as the use of the property does not impact their use of the property.
Right. So if they have already told us there are means and methods for them to replace this with these graves there. It's an exorbitant cost for them. Well, back when this deed was written, there was no dimension set for what that easement needed to be. So I think means and methods for this area is their responsibility. That's what they were trying to ask the town, for us to take that responsibility. If we left everything as it is. That's when they had sent that proposal. So I think this here they should be looking at. Now, the flip side of that is they could also say, well, if you're saying that, we want everybody moved.
And that's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. Is like they'll go, fine, you're gonna make this difficult, then we're gonna make this difficult.
Right. So let's look at it to say, how can we make, see how many people are impacted here. For example, this one here is sold or occupied, and these are sold. So it's the yellow and the red.
Mm-hmm.
So I see 3 locations that we have that. 13A, 12.
So that's a Corthouse. Timmy's there. His wife is not.
Okay, and 11 is not sold.
10 and 11 are not sold.
Oh, wait a minute though, 13 is occupied,
Mhm.
12 is sold.
That's Timmy.
Yeah, so that should not, again, once we get a resolution to this, hopefully an issue like this would not be a problem, because if they were reversed, then I'd say it could be a problem, because now we're putting somebody closer.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the one that's occupied now is closer, and the next one is gonna be further away, maybe it's not an issue.
But see, like this one, these are mismarked
Uh,
all the way through. So
don't,
oh, sold, sold, sold.
12 and 11 are sold?
Yep, and 10B. That one's occupied.
When were these?
I don't know when they were sold. Sometime after 2014.
Ollie, you sold
Yeah, that's Bruce.
row
Yeah.
E,
Yeah, Bruce Aho owns all 3 of them.
E,
double E.
Yep.
12, 11, and 10B is shown based on information
through
you
here.
gave to them that it wasn't sold.
2014. It's 5 years ago. That's
Yeah.
the information they're using. So we know it's not correct.
So I think what we need to do is go back and say, your information that you're showing here is not correct, and create something that corrects their misapprehensions.
Well,
What you're
It-
talking about, which, you.
double E.
Double E plots 10B, 11, and 12.
10B, 11, and 12, oh my God, that was a long time ago, but we bought them back from Bruce.
Okay,
So you did buy them back?
Yeah.
Okay.
so then this is correct.
Okay.
He was given those 3 lots for building that wall between Morrill Annex and the old cemetery.
All right. Okay. I just wanted.
Wait, can you take a look at their plan here and confirm what they've got drawn is and
Sure.
allocated is correct or incorrect?
Yeah.
That would be a good starting point. Yeah.
I'll bring everything right up.
Yeah, because I mean, for example,
Colored copy?
just for another example,
Sorry?
right here.
I
Move your hand
need
for a
to make
second.
a colored copy of just.
Move your hand for a second.
Hey, get out.
Yes.
Could you make several of
So
them?
on this front one, on here it's not even labeled, but it's FF. So we have Timmy Corthel's on the end,
Yeah,
and then his wife has purchased the one next to it.
right.
But further down, we have plot 9. On here, this one that we have from 14 says Daniel Traffy. On here, it says nothing. It says it's not even sold.
Oh, no, Daniel, not Daniel, it's
His wife.
his wife.
Yeah.
Daphne,
No, no.
no. It says, starts with a D though,
Okay. But she's there?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So we definitely need to match these up and make sure.
So you want me to match it on that one?
We're gonna give you a copy of this,
Yeah,
and we need you to
Establish this.
confirm or correct their designations. On here, they're saying a red is sold, a yellow is occupied, and a blue is not sold.
red is sold but not occupied?
Sold but not occupied.
So-
And the gray says town, which I'm saying would be not sold. I don't know what the differentiation between the blue and the gray is.
So we need to really know what we're talking about here.
But in either case, so that's gonna correct whatever may be
I think what
here.
they're saying is it's those. I guess I don't know why it seems weird they did a couple of them. I guess what they're saying is they may have suddenly went, why are we even marking these? It doesn't matter. It's outside of our purview. So I think they got late because if you suddenly notice, it's this area that they suddenly went, well, it doesn't matter. It's the town's land. Why are we marking? Why are we doing work for them? So they just stopped marking them. I think it's
Or
really what
maybe
it came
they
down
were
to.
coming right along this line.
Yeah, right. But like I said, then they started marking a couple of them and they went, well, this is ridiculous. Why are we doing that? Stop it. And they just marked it town, meaning it's the town property.
See, and this is what says construction and maintenance easement line, and that's what I disagree with, because the plan I just looked at calls this limit of construction.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't call it an easement line. But where do we go from here? So we get this corrected.
And
You still have your ruler?
I don't.
I think we need to get it corrected, but thereafter, we need to, and I agree with you, Dave, that they don't need 25 feet to do the work in there, but they may need 15 to 20, something in that range, to excavate a trench. I think we need a face-to-face to say what
They don't
we-
wanna come down.
I had a pretty good face-to-face there last April.
Yeah.
Under the assumption
Yeah.
that everything was kinda gonna just work well.
Yeah.
Boy, They threw an egg back at you,
And
basically.
No, like I said, I
if we
think
go
there was-
back a few emails, we were trying to get them to come down
And really what it came down to there is, again, the lawyer was doing her best to make things work. One guy was good with making things work and one guy wasn't. But the one guy who wasn't, I think was senior dog.
Squeaking wheel.
but then they changed lawyers.
There were 3 people that were there that day. There was a lawyer and 2 people from the state.
Right, Jim Gallagher and Mark Stevens.
Right. And one of them was not happy with anything we gave out, and he was not going to be happy. So, and he's the one, I think, that's helping to make this more difficult.
He was supposed to be, when Jim was there, he said, Mark now reports to him. Oh, that's why the other part I don't understand. Because you know, that meeting, there was a lot of good, I thought, good progress, a lot of heads were going in the right direction, and I thought the 2 lawyers were gonna summarize this whole thing up and it was gonna be done.
Guess what?
Shouldn't have had so much coffee this morning.
Probably shouldn't be relying on a phone either.
Let me see if there's
I'll
a
wait till I
ruler.
have a scale.
In a second, see if there's a ruler in the other room. There might be one there on those shelves.
I'd say that's probably about 3/8 of an inch, which is gonna be
So about
You measured something with a straight edge.
that'll work perfectly.
17 to 18 inches, 18 feet.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The half inch would be 40, half inch would be 20 feet.
It's probably gonna be here. Yeah, that's probably the closest spot. It's probably gonna be like 11 feet or so. And that, again, this is a copy of a plan, whether it's still 1 in 40 or not, you don't know. Let's see right here, 1 in 40, is that an inch? Yeah, it should be pretty darn close, still to
Didn't
scale.
stretch.
Yeah. As we move away. I think that's the pinch point, but that's on town's property, not on their area.
Right. And that one is unoccupied.
Yeah. I think the meeting with them to ask them why they can't come down, working over the trench, excavating, loading, and we clear them an access that they can come straight out.
Well, I mean, if they won't come down, we need to go up.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
Bart is really prepared to negotiate this out entirely. I mean, he's just kind of playing messenger back and
Yeah.
forth here.
Yeah.
I agree.
So we go up on Christmas Eve and maybe we'll hit them on a soft spot?
Do you have a travel allowance?
No,
No,
no, no.
we'll take it out of your budget.
Yeah, I mean, we get this resolved, and then, after the first of the year, we schedule an appointment with them. And I'll make myself available.
And that's on the town land.
And then we figure out what it's gonna cost.
Probably cheaper to move the trees than it is people.
Well, absolutely. We're talking
Oh, emotionally and
huge
Yeah.
dollars.
monetarily, yeah.
and we need to figure out which graves we have to buy back as well. And
Well, like I said, hopefully we can get, I mean, the ones that we can't, we just find them in a spot. You know, other ones are gonna have an issue because,
We can't buy them back, that's not right for them, because what happens, you buy them back at what they paid. You have a $50 grave, and now it's a $500 grave.
So even if we
You gotta
swap
give-
them,
you gotta
yeah,
give
I have
them
no
that
problem.
yeah, well,
swapping
we
them.
just swap
Yeah.
them, we put them somewhere
yeah, I don't
else.
mind the swap,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that anything that's on state property cannot be used
Right,
in the future, that, and we should just,
Unless we negotiate
Right.
with the state to purchase that.
that would be
Yeah.
great.
yeah, but until then, like I said, the issue we have is if someone passes, until then, they're in a state of limbo, as far as where their body is. You know,
Well-
you can't put them in a grave, and they're being stored somewhere.
That's, well,
That's the issue we have, until something's negotiated, if and when something's
But-
I'm not
negotiated.
sure, but I believe there's a gentleman all by himself over at the other side because his wife or rest of his family is
yeah, I mean,
that no-fly zone.
Mm-hmm.
Ollie, do you know what the depth of that pipe is where it comes out at the outfall?
No.
At the outlet, when you look at it,
Huh?
at the outlet he means, when you can stand there and see it. Because you've looked at it.
that big concrete structure, no, that's the spillway.
No, but how deep?
Oh, I guess, yeah, that way, you get a rough idea, because the embankment's right there with
Well,
that
from the
pipe
ground
comes
level
in.
where you're standing,
Yeah.
how deep?
From where you're standing, if you look down to where the pipe is the pipe, a couple of feet down, or are you talking 10 feet down?
No, it's more like in a couple of feet.
Okay.
Like
So then it can't be very deep further.
No, so it's not like
when you're looking at it, though, I think
It's gotta be
it
kitchen.
has a little bit of a wall too, so it's not really that depth. You know what I mean? Here comes the slope.
Yeah.
But then you got a little wall here.
Yeah.
And the pipe is somewhere.
Yeah.
So if you look from here, you're not looking from this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not looking, wow, that's
No.
way down.
No,
Yeah.
but it's over by the
Ken
spillway.
Rogers, when I think he was looking at that, I'd be surprised.
Something to think about, 'cause I mean,
What, foot
If
and
that
a
pipe
half?
is 3 feet deep.
That's
for
what
all
I'm
this is
thinking.
for naught.
They probably put it down 4 feet to keep it from heaving or whatever, but, it's not that a little mini track machine couldn't dig that out.
Yeah, we're kind of thinking maybe if it's 10 or 12 feet deep, that's one thing, but if it's 3 or
Yeah.
4 feet down,
Yeah.
there's all kind of movement like that.
I think, I don't have
Much
my
like
map
on the
with
other
me,
end,
but,
it's pitching
you know,
upward,
just
and
give you one
the hill
person, the Edward Aho, he's got.
Usually we set it
he's got
level.
like 12
Yeah.
plots.
It's just to get the water out that
Um,
leaches through.
And it's in this area.
Well, I mean, it's pretty easy to figure. We have the contour here at 1068, which is, looks like we're
Good point.
at daylights. And then up here by the grave sites, we're looking at 1076, 1078, so.
Edward Aho's up here in S.
Yeah. But, we can't really tell
This
what
is that
the
up here.
slope would be.
Yeah.
He's right here. But like David said, if you look on, where's that old map that we had again? So, this is what so here, they're marking here, construction and maintenance easement line. But on our map here,
Says.
Construction.
says limit of construction work area.
Right, so what
So-
you'd have to do is go back to the deed to see what the deed says.
There's nothing in the deed
Deed
about.
doesn't say
No,
easement.
other than they have the right to make repairs to the dam, and we have the right to use the land as
No permanent.
we wish,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, as long as we didn't put anything that stopped them from.
I thought that whole easement thing in this area was just for flowage,
No,
in
it's
case
for-
you had water coming over the dam.
No, it's for the maintenance and construction and maintenance of the dam.
No, I mean, the tow drains.
So you think that this is You need this for construction?
No, for maintenance.
For maintenance.
They felt that it would allow them to do what they wanted to going back and forth.
That's their opinion,
That's
Ollie.
their opinion.
That's just how they've labeled that, but that plan doesn't say that, our deed doesn't say that, so they can't go, at least in my opinion,
I agree.
make an interpretation after the fact of,
Yeah.
oh, well, that was the intent. Well,
Yeah, I would guess, you know, we probably have a 1% slope here, and then it steepens out a little bit along there.
I'm thinking they would have set that pipe level.
Level?
Yeah.
They put a small percentage on it. You know, I mean, it has to have some sort of a slope, because you have it up here, you know, it's almost 10, 12 feet higher
That is higher than the.
than the
Down there?
outlet down
Okay,
here,
yeah.
by about 10, 12
Yeah,
feet,
yeah.
give or take, maybe even a little bit more than that. So you'd have some sort of slope, and this would be probably relatively level, and then it would be very steep on this last run.
Is that daylight out across the street?
Right?
Does that drain daylight across the street on that other property?
I don't think so.
No, I mean, that looks buried to
I
me.
think
No,
it's-
because if
it's
you look
got-
at the construction of the dam for holdback goes across the street. And that's why I don't know whether or not that pipe went across the street or not.
I don't believe so.
And it's-
Because didn't they had kind of a, at the dam height, going across the street was a berm that goes into that.
Which one are you looking for?
The plan, the original plan.
It's there.
Which
We
would
keep
be
giving it back to
kind
Scott.
of westerly of the, with the pipe.
He's getting real good at finding it though.
This one?
Yeah, I think this is the one that shows that the construction of the dam
Yeah, it
went
goes
across
across
the street.
Yeah. And the pipe would be east, on the easterly
Yeah.
side.
But if this is part of that dam, because it's even labeled,
Well,
I would have been surprised that that pipe doesn't
Well,
come.
I mean, you know, just looking at it today, there's a hump in the road right there. But it's,
It's a dead giveaway.
and that causeway runs relatively level across the top of the dam.
But I
Oh,
think,
yeah,
but I
it's
think
wide
the
and
hump
flat.
goes with the top of the dam. That hump. There's not a hump before you go over the
Oh,
dam.
it's not at the toe of the dam.
No,
No,
no.
Is there a culvert in the road there?
don't remember.
Like it's
Because
kind
they
of
were
tough to
saying
see
that's
with
for
snow.
groundwater. And that's the part that I just can't get over. You should see how much water comes out of that. You can have it dry as anything, water still coming out of that pipe.
I'm thinking
Something
maybe
doesn't
that
look
some of
right.
that water is coming from the cemetery area, not necessarily from the other side of the dam.
You
I think
that-
if you
that-
look at the construction of dams, if you look, Google it and look at construction of dams, there is a drain on the other side to catch any water that leaches through that dam. Otherwise, if you don't have a way of getting that water out of there, you're just gonna blow it out.
But if we look at the topography that we did, let's see, we got a 174 over here, 176, which is the front face of the dam, and we have about a 176, 178,
Right, but what's
On
your
the
top of
cemetery.
dam?
and top of dam is 1090. So we're talking a foot, call it
Yeah.
12 to 14 feet of height.
I know I'm a neophyte, but I tell you, when I stand on top of that dam and I look where that pipe is, and you go to the entrance to the ball field, all the way across that, and then you get to the water. So you're saying from there, over there, it's leaching
Yeah,
all
I
the way
mean, this
through?
whole area is absolutely dry. There's no
Yeah.
water down in here.
Exactly.
I'm suggesting that if this pipe is actually draining, the water may be coming from the cemetery
That's a
side.
very gravelly cemetery. We can't find water when we dig a grave there.
So, I mean, I don't know, but that, you know, if you can't find water and this is sloped, so most of the water would spill to either
Right,
side.
but you, Ollie, you don't,
I don't know.
looking here is where you're seeing that waterfall.
Yeah, right
This
at
is the
sluiceway.
at the outlet structure.
Yeah,
This is the impoundment area though. So if there's water being held back at the dam here, and that water leaches through the dam, as it does, and that drain picks that up,
yeah.
that's what you're seeing coming
The only
out.
thing it's picking up is right there.
We don't know without digging down and,
That's a good point.
you know,
Yeah,
It'd be
but,
nice, we should drill a hole. and look.
but, but looking
make it
at,
perforated, huh?
Well,
But-
we were gonna put a well in our budget.
no, you're right, that's an impoundment area, but that lake level, when I looked at it, was way down below the ball field.
But here's the other part of that. On the other side of that sluiceway, there's a pipe again, going on the north side.
Well, that would be the.
I've never seen water come out of that pipe.
Really?
It drools once in a while, like an old man, you know, a little brown stuff comes out. That's it. You couldn't get a cup of water off that side.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah, that's why I say, that water coming out of that, in the springtime, we're talking millions of
Well,
gallons. come
maybe
out of that.
you're just in an aquifer on the other side. I don't know.
Who knows?
We don't.
All right.
Yeah, that's just speculation. It's interesting to know that.
So, you guys are gonna make me a copy of that, it has to be in color, it could be fussy, but.
Yeah. Yeah, Scott will be able to make it in color for you.
So the yellow is the one
Might
that
wanna
somebody's
write that
living
down.
there,
They
Yes.
have a,
and you say there's the blue,
Is not sold.
not sold.
And red is sold but not occupied.
That number jumped quite a bit when the yellow became occupied.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. It's just in that easement area, it's, I think, around 20 or so in the easement. That I didn't even look at I didn't even count the front, just the easement area.
Ollie, when can you have that back to us?
I should be able to do it by Thursday.
Okay, good.
Closer to 30. Actually. It's a little hard to see some of the spots because there's, but yeah, it's well over 20, 25.
I'm ready to go, try to make a quick copy of that.
Please.
So I can pick that up in the morning?
He's
I
gonna
think
give it
it's
to you right
compatible,
now.
yeah.
Oh, wonderful,
save you the trip.
all right.
It would be possible to send somebody over there to look at that outlet, get an idea and just,
Before it snows again.
So tomorrow.
Well, we guess supposed to get a couple inches,
Yeah, it's
so.
tonight, right? It's supposed to
Right.
change over?
It says it's raining now and turns to snow in about 15 minutes. That's what it says.
We gotta run home. Did he say that really? In 15 minutes, we're gonna turn to snow?
Yeah, that's what it says. It says right now it's raining, but at 8 p.m. it's 90% chance of snow.
far cry from what we had though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, a couple inches perhaps.
I had people I know from across the country calling me, telling about our 36 inches.
Yeah.
What's your phone number?
Sooner or later you'll remember it.
Yeah.
How much money and time and energy we spend to get rid of that snow, and then Mother Nature takes it away anyway.
I know. I went up
Right now, I'm out in Milford.
that Sunday afternoon. I went up and I shoveled
Small drive.
basically like 3 feet around my entire roof, just so there would be place for the water to go. Now I don't think there's any snow on my roof at all. Gone.
But if you hadn't cleared it, it would have frozen to place.
And that's just it. It's like, and that was it. I was already getting ice dams, even having raked some of it. So I went up, did that, threw some of the salt pucks up there, so that as it ran down, it would melt those ice dams out. Worst part about shoveling your roof is you're always working below your feet, so your back is just within like 20 minutes. Your back is just killing you.
I know what you're doing up on your roof in the first place.
Adventurous.
Yeah.
Remember, you got house insurance, that's what it's for. And you don't wanna use the life insurance.
My wife does.
Yeah. Remember, there's a reason for that.
Oh yeah, we always joke around. I'm insured way more than she is.
When you wake up and you realize, hey, wait a minute, I thought I had this much, and you increased it to this much.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
She just stands on the ground, waves at me.
You done yet?
Yeah.
Alright. So that's the glaze, and this is the legend that goes with it that tells you.
Very good.
Alright. What's what?
Thank you.
Yep.
All set? Anything you wanna add? So I think once we can confirm that, my questions is why the state can't have the excavator straddle the trench? Why, if the state's located the drain, do they know what the depth is?
Does it in fact go across the road? I'm not aware of that, but I don't know either.
I guess at this point it's not relevant for the graves, so.
No, true story.
And are they opposed to us cutting those trees down and making them a nice straight through drive, or are they just not?
They haven't even talked about
They
it yet.
haven't, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
he brought it up to them, but it didn't come up in their response back.
Yeah.
Boy, I wish I had not been a part of the push to cut all the trees out of there in 2006. The staging area was about half that size.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem as though it's progressed much in the past year.
Well, it kind of just sat there, and
Yeah,
my opinion is maybe they forgot about it.
No news. No news is good.
Yeah. It was
I remember
because
when
the lawyer that they had just gotten assigned and was reassigned to another division, and somebody else came in, and
When we came in and spoke to you about it, you know, calm down, changing the guide going on here.
and then now all of a sudden it's like, well, the town's been holding this up.
Because he even states that where you talk about why, since nothing in the easement says how much has to be, he says he didn't even bring it up in this discussion, so.
Well, I did write down here to ask the question of whether the state was agreeable to the town extending the access road to Binney Road, Binney Hill Road.
Yeah, but no, he didn't, he said he didn't approach that, but he also didn't, this is with the piece that you keep talking about. He also mentioned I also mentioned the fact that there are no dimensions associated with the easement, so it is difficult to say the size of the machinery and what the parties contemplated at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's 25 feet, but he didn't get into that debate. So he even says he says he brought it up, but then he didn't bring it up. So I can't tell whether he did or he didn't.
I don't think he
He
did.
says he mentioned it, but he didn't go to debate it. So right here.
I also mentioned.
I don't want to be a pessimist, but your comment about, I agree that the access issue was second to the issue of including parties.
I think what they,
We hope that you're.
yeah, I'm like I that's how I'm reading it.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, I'm reading it as far as, you know,
You can be the optimist.
I hope
Wonderful.
that, you know, if they really want to be the, you know,
Hard.
yeah, they want to be the people that made, hey, dig up grandma, then you know what, that's going to be quite the issue.
Yeah, that'll be Andy Hirschberger for sure.
Mm-hmm.
and I guess the other question while we are here, should we be getting our state reps and senators involved on this, or wait until
I think
they say no?
when they become impossible to deal with, when we're making no progress and we've reached an impasse, I think that's the appropriate time.
And I say when that comes around, we take it as high as we have to take it. You know, as far as, you know, why just do, you know, our state reps or whatever. Let's get, you know, whoever's currently representing us in Washington. No.
I'm thinking even, you know, the state senators that we have, and this is where, how I've been tossing it in my mind is that I would like to do it now. And this is the reason why, is that if we wait till somebody at the state says no, and then we try and get people involved, that person's not gonna save face. Whereas if we got people involved now, behind the scenes, tap on the shoulder, whatever it may be, hey, yeah, we can maybe work this out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And there was a gentleman from town.
exactly.
That's fine.
Oh,
I can-
I'm talking,
That's the strategy, I mean.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine, I mean,
But like I said, I mean, I also don't see any reason why, you know, we send these other, you know, former governors to Washington to represent us. Well, guess what? 2 of them were here as our governors when this started.
I don't see that they're gonna have an impact.
I don't see that they're gonna
I'm
have.
thinking
interest.
if, I'm thinking if we had.
When it's their constituents that go, hey, you know, hey, I look at it as, you know, really, you know, obviously, yes, we start where we start and we keep going.
Yeah, I'm thinking the people that represent us now in the state are the ones that we need to bring to the table. And I know our 2 local state reps wouldn't be an issue, but then we've got the state senators that we could
Yeah, I mean.
reach out to.
What, committee would be the governing body that would regulate this?
let the state senator figure that one out. The state reps,
Mm-hmm.
they know who to
Yeah.
tap on the shoulder.
No, I'd say let's get them involved.
That's good.
One of the reps has been involved in the construction industry too, so it could show a little bit of intelligence.
Yeah.
Some of these people.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Evening, gentlemen.
Yeah, that'd be good.
If I may put this back, so the next person is looking for it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, have a good night, thank
You
you.
too.
Good
Good
night,
night.
thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alan.
Informative. Good ideas.
Same cups.
Have it out.
Tops. And Harvard Pilgrim.
Did you ever have that meeting with the representative from Custer's office?
I did.
How did that go?
It went good. I mean, I think we have somebody that can help us kind of navigate what some of the grant opportunities might be for several different agencies, including state. So even though he's focused on federal programs, they all kind of talk to each other, so he may be able to help us leverage some of the state agencies as far as grants for certain projects, and it's a matter of us identifying what projects we need help on, and then trying to match up what grants or combination of grants might be appropriate, because you can, when I went to the forum in Keene, there were, state and federal agencies there, and they kind of piggyback grants sometimes to make something happen. So they work with each other, they all know each other, but we would have to make a very specific request as to what we were looking for. I obviously brought up the police station and he's not sure what might be available for that. Unfortunately, a lot of the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA grants are all focused on fire and EMS, not on police for some odd reason. He said initially, I think, after 9/11, the police were benefiting from a lot of those too, to beef up security and things like that. So police were able to get certain types of grants, but a lot of that has evaporated, and it's mostly focused on fire and EMS. But that doesn't mean that we can't make inquiries into what else is available. But if we have a specific type of request, he'll help us try to match up the right agency with the right grants. U.S. Department of Agriculture is the one that really they have a catalog full of grant opportunities for all sorts of different reasons that have nothing to do with agriculture, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
So that would probably be the first place that I would start for, depending on what we were looking for. And he's more than willing to help us, and they would, help us find resources and, give us tips on the grant writing and, provide other resources. They're gonna work with Southwest, regional planning commissions no matter what we do. And there's a couple of other, local, based agencies that can provide different types of funding. So he's more than willing to talk to us. It's pretty much a matter of things that we identify that we think we could use some assistance on. It's finding a program out there.
Well, before we get on to this here, one of the things, because we do know we're going to be going forth with the police station, and that's what we were hoping for. The USDA grant that I had looked into last time that I knew was available, the town didn't qualify. So I don't know is he saying that they have a different program, or is he willing to, if you reach out to him and let him know, look, the town is pursuing means to put up a police station. Are there grants available that he will at least direct us to?
All I have to do is make a phone call.
Okay.
Yeah, he seems very, very happy to help us in any way that he can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now going back one, that flyer's never gone out. We didn't know last week whether we should send it without a date for a meeting, because now we're probably gonna be up to the, bond hearing dates. Seeing that we're in December now, we won't get anything done in the next couple of weeks, so the hearing would be sometime in January at the earliest. Should we send it without the date, or select a date for a bond hearing?
So we would just go right from, we wouldn't have another informational night, it would be,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not to say we couldn't have an informational session after that, again. But I think where we are now,
Yeah.
it was like, well, if we,
I'd say, we need to get it out, because that's actually on I had it down here in other business,
Yep.
like we need to get that out. Because someone asked me just the other day, are you guys going after that again? I'm like, yeah, we kind of have no choice.
so do we agree, let's skip the date, get it out there.
Yeah.
We'll schedule the public hearing when we,
Yeah, and I would say just at the bottom where it said date, or put future dates will be announced. I just so people know, hey, this isn't just here you go, see you in March.
Right. How about please attend, bond hearing.
Upcoming bond hearings and informational nights concerning this.
Or
Yeah.
bond hearing informational,
Yeah.
then they're gonna, if I was reading, I'd say, well, when is it? And just,
Dates to be announced.
dates to be announced. Does he have the
Yeah,
final,
Yeah.
can you just modify that bottom part
Yeah.
and send that out?
Yeah, because I don't think I've made any changes since I sent
So
the
when you
last
say
one out.
send it out,
Print, stamped, mailed to the company that does it, but they're gonna need that copy.
okay,
I don't know the name of the company, but they're in Jaffrey that we've, I think, used in the past to
okay.
handle,
Lori would know.
yeah.
All right, just record, I'm against sending out that flyer. I think it's going to be a waste of money.
In what regard, Bert?
In what regard, the people who are in favor of a police station may read it, or they've already said, gee, we're in favor. The people who are not in favor are just gonna trash it. It does not do anything to sway the votes that are needed to make the bond viable.
I don't think, well, I shouldn't say the purpose of it is not to sway votes, but I think the primary purpose is to inform the voters of what the response was from the survey that was sent out.
From the survey, and I think it's also a matter of it answers a lot of questions that no matter how many meetings, and it's one more way of getting information out. What do we, if the people aren't Facebook or YouTube and they didn't come to the meeting, this is one more way to get the information out. We have to, to just not do anything is just doing that. It's curling up in a ball and saying we give up, and we can't give up. We've got to keep going, because sooner or later, much like everything else right now, our hand is going to be forced.
I agree we need a new police station. I just don't think that this methodology is going to work.
Well, how do you want to do it, Bert?
I already explained that I prefer that we set aside money on a yearly basis, 4 or 5 years, and build it 4 or 5 years down the road. I don't believe that the voters will vote for a bond. That's a simple how I
Yeah,
believe.
well,
And I
And
believe
and
that-
you're and you're gambling that we have 5 years.
I'm gambling we have 5 years.
And I mean, as the growth that the town has had, and to say that your police station is gonna continue to operate out of a medical office building, it's unfathomable.
I concur that we need a new police station. I would love to see us start the architectural and engineering process tomorrow. I would love that to happen. I just don't think a bond is going to do it.
I've never seen a facility built on a savings plan.
That may very well be. And maybe the bond will pass. Maybe it will. I don't know, but I have very bad vibes that it will.
But vibes shouldn't be what leads you, Bert. It should be knowing what the town needs and how to address it to make things happen. That's the leadership that the Board of Selectmen needs to provide. To defer it to another board in 5 years, to try and convince the residents that we can do it under a savings plan option.
Or my biggest fear is having to stand there and apologize to some family because an officer or a citizen was injured or worse because of the horrible nature of that facility.
We can argue how police operate all day long. I'm just
I'm not
saying,
talking about how police operate. I'm talking about
police do not stop crimes, they solve crimes. They are a
what does that
deterrent.
have to do with the fact that there's no emergency egress from that building? It's got one
I
entrance.
realize that that building is horrible. I'm not going to debate that with you. I'm saying that I do not believe that the voters will support a bond.
Okay, I agree, Bert. Nobody has a crystal ball.
I-
Our role, though, as the leadership of the town, is to provide them with an alternative. And I think what John and I are agreeing on is that alternative has to happen now. It's been put off far too long.
I agree that it has been put off far too long. We should have started back in 2016, starting a savings account, and we would be ready about now or next year to start our construction process.
I know myself as a resident and a taxpayer. If somebody asked me, based on the 2 million and over 5 years, you're looking at another $400,000.
Yes, we are.
Okay? To say on a warrant article, approve a $400,000 warrant article to set that money aside, I would not have agreed with that.
I can understand that thought process as well.
I could not tell you that I could think of a taxpayer that I know that would say, hey, that's a good idea. Because we gave them the option last time. You have saved the money. Let's use that. And the answer was no. So the concept of the plan, I don't think is justifiable. So I think from what I heard was it wasn't explained well enough. The first plan here, not that one there. And I'm saying, okay, then that's my failure, or our failure at that time. So let's try and be more informative. And that was the rationale of the flyer, is to say, okay, we've heard you. This is what you've asked for. So this is what we're looking to do. Here are the facts.
All right, I'm just going to say that I oppose sending out the flyer.
Okay. I think you're in agreement to send it out?
Yes.
So we'll send it out as we've drafted it and revised it many times. And we'll have the hearings. And if you want to attend, please come. If you don't,
Oh, I'll absolutely be here.
yeah, okay.
Somebody has to add counterpoint.
Always.
So, the format we're gonna send it in, was it gonna be 11 by 17?
It was I believe the format was 11 by 17, one sheet, printed front and back, and the one side was left for
Address and
Address and stamp.
postal information.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
two-sided 11 by 17.
And I believe that's what it was already formatted for on the layout. health insurance options.
Okay, so, top sheet that you're looking at is the current Tufts plans that are available. So the first column where it says current, that's what we're on for 2019. That is not gonna be available in 2020. So the renewal option, as close as it can to the plan we have now, is the second column, which is about a 16.4% increase. And the other side of that is the cost goes up, the coverage actually is slightly diminished. There are higher out-of-pocket maximums in the new plan. So from the employee's point of view, that's a little bit of a step backwards from where they are today. There are two other Tufts plans, and again, each one of those kind of tweak some of the coverage points. The deductibles and co-pays stay the same, with the exception of deductible goes up and the outpatient surgery co-pay goes up.
But these, surgeries and, where it says out-of-pocket max.
Right.
My understanding, and if you can help me here, is those deductibles apply when it might have been like an elective surgery type thing. If somebody goes in
For heart surgery.
brain aneurysm, heart surgery, whatever, are they faced with these?
I believe they are.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
that's everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what it's saying is, yeah.
So I go in, right now our plan has it at 4,500 with a cap of 9,000 on a family, I'm assuming.
Right.
Correct.
So now that would go from 4,500 to 6,000 and 12,000 under options A and B.
Yep.
And option C would go 7,000 to 14,000.
Right.
And Harvard Pilgrim compared how?
So the Harvard Pilgrim plan, if you look at the second page, Jeff said that the HMO Gold 2000, which is the second one down, is the one that most closely aligns with the renewal column on the first page for Tufts, as far as the type of coverage. The out-of-pocket maximum is a little bit higher on that plan.
I'm trying to see that. What is
The-
that?
It's 4,000, 8,000.
Yeah, 4,000, 8,000.
I
So
see
it's
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
So it's less.
So it's less.
4,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's actually less.
it's
Yeah.
actually less, I take that back, I'm thinking of the old plan here. The co-pays are also slightly less for some, for doctor's visits and prescriptions.
Well, this estimated monthly premium,
And that's about $600 less a month
Mm-hmm.
uh,
to go to Harvard.
11,769 is multiplied times,
12.
that includes the same grouping of employees?
That is what he based it on, I believe.
Okay. That's
And
roughly
we also,
140,
these numbers
140.
might fluctuate in that, we're in an open enrollment period, so we could
Mhm.
have people add, drop off,
Yeah, yeah.
et cetera, so.
Uh, But if I'm looking at this correctly, the Harvard Pilgrim plan is more economical for the town over Tufts options, A and B, the EPO 15 and the EPO 2000.
Mm-hmm.
The only question is on the Harvard Pilgrim, Scott, you've highlighted up top, no dental.
He highlighted that.
He highlighted, okay.
And I was trying to,
So we get our dental through Health Trust anyway.
So it's not through Tufts?
Correct.
Okay, okay.
I was trying to figure out if that said no denial or no dental.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was same. Yeah,
Then I'm in favor of going with the Harvard Pilgrim.
yeah, the only difference,
I'm just wondering,
when I've
you
looked
know,
at
the
these
difference
plans
is
in the past, for employees, is their drug programs can differ depending on how they tier their drugs. And we have no idea if any of the people on this plan are needing drugs on a monthly basis or not. So I would,
But if you compare the two,
no, I would agree with John that the Harvard Pilgrim
Yeah.
is up the better deal, because we have no idea what medical services the people on the
Yeah,
plan
because
need.
And the irony of it all is Harvard Pilgrim and Tufts are merging.
yeah, it's a little, the prescription plan is a little bit different. It's 225, 65, and 35% to 550 per script, 40% to 550 per script. And this one goes 5, 25, 50, 100,
And
and
35%.
35% maxing at 350. So it's a little bit different on that, but otherwise everything else and their co-pays are good, and the like I said, the max out of pocket is significantly better.
I'm trying to find, where is their co-pay on the health plans? This is on prescriptions, right?
Yeah. Office, there's a co-pay.
Yeah, so $15, or $20 on Tufts for your primary care physician, $40 for specialist, versus 25 and 50.
But where are you seeing it? I can't find it.
Provider,
Oh,
25,
there,
50.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I would agree with John that the Harvard Pilgrim is probably the better selection overall.
Oh, just give me a second, I wanna go through it.
Marginally so, but
25 and 50, 2,000 is the deductible, and so that's 2,000. Emergency care deductible, then $300 a visit. Emergency health, that's the exact same thing.
And one of the things I want to explore for next year is going back to Health Trust. I think Health Trust has some new innovative programs that we need to look at.
Yeah, my company just did a big change, and one of the things that they talked about was like, if you know, instead of going right to the emergency room, if by any chance you can go to a like instant care you go there, then they said go to the emergency room. It's not. It's
So they-
covered different.
So when I went to the municipal association meeting, I specifically went to the health insurance seminar that they had. They had a lawyer from Upton and Hatfield there with some Health Trust representatives talking about some of the plans that they have. And the significance in cost savings by not going to the emergency room versus going to like a convenient MD or
Yeah.
one of these is significant. It reduces the cost by 50 to 75%. The other thing that Health Trust does is if you take advantage of some of those savings, they will actually pay the employee back for saving the money.
Yeah. We had to have, my wife went to an emergency care,
Yeah.
and she had a blood clot, and she went to emergency care. They said, we're calling the hospital now. go to the ER, it was an office visit.
But,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to understand the concept and the circumstance
Right.
over when, okay, we'll go to MD versus going to a hospital.
Mhm.
Well, the problem that they have, now, I mean, me personally, I call my primary care physician first, starting an
Mhm.
appointment with them. Right, so that's just a regular office visit. Too many people, they get a little cough, a tickle, a sore throat, they're in the emergency room.
Because they don't.
I'm thinking, okay, I'm having a heart attack.
No, and
Or
that's
I just sliced
Yeah.
my finger off and I
Yeah,
need
no,
stitches. I don't
no,
think
no,
I'm going to
this is-
CMD.
No, but like you said, okay, say you cut it off, yeah, you go to the ER, but you slice it open, go to the emergent care, odds are they can take care of you. right
Odds
there.
are.
Yeah.
That doesn't
But
sound
the
good.
thing is, but it's one of those things,
I
even
guess-
if you show up and it's on your way to, you stop in there,
But I'm just thinking,
they
we
walk
are
in,
in
they
the
go
whip switch.
$25.
We're in the whip switch,
Yeah.
okay?
Right,
Where are you going to go?
Depends on whether I want to live or not. No.
You have to go to Amherst.
I'm asking the wrong guy. Bert, where would you go?
You have to go to Amherst. I've been there.
Milford has,
Milford has one right.
you're gonna start seeing
Off
more
the
of them
Oval.
pop up. This is,
Yeah.
Where are they
Yeah.
in Milford?
It's dark in a
by
box.
the playground.
Oh, near the hospital then.
Yeah,
And they're pretty damn useless.
yeah, so, but the.
but if it's a difference of $2,500 or $300,
It makes the,
Yeah, I
people
guess.
look at it that
Yeah.
way, yes, they
Right.
do.
and-
especially like you
and
said, you got a
there's-
cold, you
There's a
got a
value on life.
yes. But
Obviously,
you know,
with the cost of healthcare going up, everybody's looking for innovative solutions
Yeah,
to bring
yeah,
costs down, and that's one of the ways they do it. So, I mean, Health Trust had some very interesting, plans where, and you really have to do it, in combinations with, with a health savings account or something like that. So that's something we need to do a little bit more research on, because we have to provide some level of education for the employees to invest in one of those, because you can do it in pre-tax dollars.
and I don't know if this one has it, but for me personally, I don't have any other medical insurance through my employer, but I can do the HSA, and that's it. So I can do a health savings account without signing up for any of the other programs.
So you have a health savings account. Who's your insurer? You're going out and buying?
No, I'm insured through my wife, through the school. So I'm on her plan.
Right.
So I've never had anything else through my work. But again, there's only like a certain maximum you can put into your account. So she's got a certain amount that goes into her health savings account. But that's technically her health savings account for a family plan. I can put an additional amount into my own health savings account. And again, she's a signer on that. So it's, and like I said, it's all pre-tax dollars. And certain HSAs allow you to use it for different items.
Right, so the way they describe some of the scenarios is, when you set up, an HSA, you can actually go with more of a solution that is more catastrophic coverage, and you reduce the cost for the employer, which is us, and you actually put the employee in a better situation, because they don't have to pay these $12,000 out-of-pocket maximums. So they went through like 6 different types of scenarios that actually improve the coverage for the employees while lowering the cost for the employer.
But
But it's gonna take some research to do it. We don't have time to do it this year, but honestly, this is something that's like a July, August project, to dig into that and understand what the options are. And, I mean, we, relatively speaking, we have a very small group, compared to other employers. So, it's just worth exploring what the different options are. And some of them sound pretty intriguing to me, because it sounded like it would help the employer control the costs while actually putting the employee in a better position, but you have to leverage things like the health, the HSA to.
I'm not clear on the HSA portion of it,
Yeah.
but I'm wondering, are you telling me now that our employees are not using pre-tax dollars to pay their portion of their copay, of their insurance?
So they are for the insurance itself,
Okay,
but the HSA would allow them, that's where you can pick up your copays, your out-of-pocket maximums, can come out of your HSA at pre-tax dollars. Instead, right now, me included, right, you're paying for it in after-tax dollars.
Right.
You go to the pharmacy and
but
You know.
but the town is picking up the 85% of that insurance policy, and if I'm understanding you correctly, other innovative plans are gonna be put out there where they don't, or the town's cost isn't being,
so they described a scenario where a town could pick up 100% of the cost. 100% of the cost, and still save money. But the employees have to sign up for an HSA,
Right.
and there are things that you can do that, where it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute, the town pays the 100%.
Right.
So then the employee still has an HSA to pay for,
The larger deductibles, the larger out-of-pocket maximums,
Right.
but you've reduced, and when you factor all the costs in a typical scenario, it's a win-win for the
yeah, I'd like to
employee.
see those numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's.
does work, but the thing is, if you have a very healthy group, it's not functional. Somebody has to be sick.
Well, the
for
thing
it to
is,
work.
yeah, but even that, like even with the HSAs, what you're allowed to roll over a certain percentage if your program allows it.
Yep.
So you're allowed to roll over a certain percentage over to the next year, and you can also go and buy certain items. So if say you come to close to the end of the year, like for example, we came close to the end of the year and we had a lot of money in our HSA a couple of years ago. Again, we had a healthy year.
Yep.
I had one of my eyes done on LASIK, completely paid for by pre-tax dollars, and then I just paid for the other one.
But it was still something that you paid out of pocket, which you would have paid out of pocket either way. The only benefit was you were able to use pre-tax dollars.
Pre-tax dollars.
Right.
Right, but the total cost was still less than him contributing to a more expensive plan.
Exactly.
But what he got was not covered under the
Correct.
health plan.
Right.
Right.
It was.
So the only
gives you a-
advantage was he had an HSA where he
Right.
could.
Right, but the amount of money that he had to contribute to the HSA was probably less than the premiums he would
Yes.
have had to pay for his 15% share of this.
Yeah. And
Right.
like you said, when I go to the doctor or we get a bill in the mail that says, okay, your copay for this office visit was $10. I take out my HSA card, we write the number on it, mail it back. So I just use pre-tax dollars instead of post-tax dollars
Right.
and everything. And my prescriptions, you can go buy bandages, you can buy certain. So it ends up, it actually helps everyone because, like I said, it's gonna. It also helps. It's one of those things. The more services you get from the insurance company, the less they'll lower.
And that's why I'm looking at it, and I'm saying, and granted, I'm not on these plans, but when I look at it and I say, as an individual, what am I paying every year in out-of-pocket expenses? It's not worth even calculating.
If you're
Yeah.
healthy, it's horrible.
And that's typically where, how the insurance companies are looking at it.
Mhm.
They have their actuaries that are saying, hey, there's gonna be a percentage that aren't healthy.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to look at it to say from employee-wise, and, until we see numbers, I
Right.
really can't say
Mhm.
Yeah,
how it's gonna.
but it's worth, in my
Always.
opinion, after
Oh.
after listening to them, absolutely worth investigating, but it's gonna have to be something that I start to dig into in July and August.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like especially if we have anyone that's on a family plan, HSAs are very helpful in family plans, because all your, you know, your kids' allergy pills or whatever else they have to get, and all those different things are very helpful to a kid, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm good with going with the Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare.
Let's make a motion.
I'll second
Motion.
that.
Just make a motion.
Motion to go with the Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare plan.
Second.
Wait a minute. Identify it.
The HMO Gold 2000.
Good.
Yeah.
You second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I will call Jeff tomorrow and get that set up. Alright, so I emailed those out today, and these were, I think, the final, the final changes that Darryl requested. And basically, the one that he had the most heartburn with was the training one, which is number 9.
Number 9.
Attend and participate in training opportunities that are mutually beneficial to both SVAS and the town. And he put when available. So in other words, he wasn't committing that they could attend all of them. He
I thought that was even in the last one.
Okay, I think it was,
Yeah.
might have been,
Okay.
but I, you know, wanted to make sure that,
Well, given that they're a private organization, I don't think we can twist their arm too hard.
well, and there are times where they are gonna be, you know, resource constrained, for some of these extracurricular things. I mean, I think it's important for them to go, but I
Mhm.
also understand. The other thing that I took the liberty of changing in this draft that you have in your hand is the one we've been working with had an April 1st, 2019 start date. I just made this effective for 2020, April 1st. And we're operating without one now.
Right.
We can get through another
Yeah.
90
That's
days.
fine.
Yeah.
So, the other question I had is we have, I don't know whether we wanna set this up for all the selectmen to sign it. Have David sign it, or have me sign it as your agent?
I don't think all of us need to sign it. I think if we have either the chair of the board or the administrator as long as, you know,
As long as we all agree.
yeah, we're in agreement, and
I'm fine with the, what we've hammered out here, and I'm good with either David or Scott signing it.
I just want to take one
Yep.
last view of it.
sure.
Yeah. Do we really have to pick April Fool's Day?
Well,
I know.
in municipal business, April 1st is a very common date to start a lot of things because town meeting and everything is
March.
done and behind you at that point.
Speaking of which, you said I want to keep reading, but have we got the library and SVAS scheduled to come in? They need to come in.
Okay, well, the library did call, because they wanna submit their warrant article.
Probably
So-
they come in with their financials to show us.
That they didn't spend their money again.
So, set them up for the January 7th meeting?
Sure.
Is that- is that-
Yeah, we'd set them both up, that'd be great. Yeah, just, again, I think, you know, we're
Yeah.
recommending or not recommending their warrant. I think we should be able to. Which also, someone did ask me, when is the final date for warrant articles to be submitted?
It depends on what the warrant article is.
Okay.
If it's a petition warrant article, it's January 14th.
If it's Ours, when do we have to finalize
Oh, I
ours?
don't know, I was trying to figure that out.
We
on
get
the
a longer
calendar today.
reprieve.
Yeah.
God bless.
No, the person who asked was Ollie, and I told him it was January at some point. He goes, okay. He goes, I couldn't remember if it was before the end of the
Yeah,
year. I said,
it's,
no,
it's actually good to have them of the mindset they have it in January, because then DRA has to look at it and review it, and if they
Yeah.
reject it, then you need time to.
or even better, where they look at it and say it's all fine, then the next year we find out it was illegal. That's the best.
Oh, that never happens. Like, how'd you slip this one through?
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah, you guys approved it, and then we had council sitting at the table, said it was fine. Now all of a sudden it's wrong.
Yep, been there, done that.
Yep, it happened here.
And honestly, I think with DRA, they just get overwhelmed with the volume of towns that they're trying to review
Yeah.
and approve. So, I understand their pain.
Anybody who reads all this stuff will go blind.
Hey, at least you're not Wilton. Wilton always has 35 or 40 warrant articles every year.
I don't know, I think we hit 50 plus one year. Didn't
Where have you been living, Bert?
I don't know.
we? I thought there
Maybe
was-
if you add the schools and ours together, but
Yeah, maybe that was it. I thought there was just a laundry list.
And honestly, when I was in Pepperell, that was, that was over 30 warrant articles every year. Usually a handful of them by petition. So we weren't up, and the selectmen weren't supportive of it, so they. It's unfortunate that some of the warrant articles, you have to take them as they're written, and they're technically wrong, so they can't be acted upon anyway. Even if they vote in the affirmative at town meeting or a deliberative session. But you can't write them for them. I can't believe how much of the snow is melted away already.
Heavy rain.
no, that was up to 50 degrees today too.
Yeah, it'll come back. Just
The
give it a
rivers are flowing. I know that.
huge melt.
31 over there.
Oh, I bet that river's running high.
We're in really high. All that runoff. Just hope this storm isn't a sign of a winter to come yet. 2015, when we got like 9 feet
Yeah, we're
in
the.
3 weeks.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
What were your comments?
I'm good with this.
I'm good. It's been beaten to death.
Really?
Did you find another change?
2.
2?
Oh, he's wordsmith.
Yeah. I just read things and I say, well, can somebody else understand this? It says the ambulances will be maintained and equipped with all New Hampshire required equipment. Should we have state of New Hampshire or state of New Hampshire? Is there a board requirement for what? I never seen the old man on the mountain saying it's got.
Well, he's not there anymore.
I know, I was looking for him today, but I didn't see him.
Hmm.
I mean, do you think that's there?
I think it's clear enough, myself.
I think.
I don't have a problem
And the
with it.
use of an asperand versus just spelling out the word and on number 7.
Said dispute and give reasonable.
You know, why we,
Yeah, we can.
That
like and is like
is more appropriate.
John and Sons.
I'll go with that one.
Unless it makes
But
it
the
go
other
down
one I'm
another
thinking
line.
should have been more definitive as to what in the state, is it the,
So, well, I can dig it up. I can't say it off
Just-
the top of my head, but it's the New Hampshire State Department of Emergency Services or something like that.
Perfect. I'm good with it.
So, do you want me to make that modification?
Sure.
I would, I don't know what these gentlemen would.
I mean, it's simple enough for me,
Sure.
and I don't think Daryl's gonna.
Yeah.
His happiness is essential, yes.
Mine?
Yeah.
Let's, you have anything else on your list?
That is all I have.
I think we all got an email today. Did you see that email?
From,
From
It doesn't
Nancy?
matter who it's
Whatever.
actually,
Oh, yes.
regarding,
Mm-hmm.
employees with dogs in the building.
But I have two questions on, and two issues on that. One, if she's not here all day, how does she know the dog was here all day? Two, her office faces Scott's office. Walk across and ask
But
Scott
that's
if
not
he
the
knows
point. The point
it.
is,
It is to me.
the point is, do we want employees to have animals in the building? That's all I'm asking. If the policy is yes, then we make a policy. If it's no, then we make the policy.
I would have found out first, was a discussion had explaining why it even happened before you send out a blanket email to the 3 selectmen. There's a town administrator in there. Walk across, said, is there, close the door, is there a reason why? Yes or no? Is there a policy, whatever? And then at that point, but to me, I found that childish.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Now, beyond the policy, the reason, whatever, I found that to be extremely childish.
So now what?
Well,
So now I would look at Scott and go, Scott, do you know why this happened today? Was it brought to your attention prior to, after the fact? Did you have a
So
discussion
Scott,
with
was
them?
that brought to your attention?
it
So-
was not.
Okay.
So here's what I know about the dog situation. Is Jess has a new puppy, and she brings it to work occasionally. I don't know whether she's gonna bring it every day or not, but she has brought it in a few days. As far as I can tell, the dog isn't an issue for me. Doesn't make any noise, isn't causing any disruption, stays in her office. Her office is, she's got the Dutch doors, the dog is in there, you don't hear a peep out of the dog. Now, as the dog grows, is that gonna change? I don't know. But if we're gonna have a dog policy, you need to know that there's also a dog that goes to work every day at the police station. I don't know if you were aware of that.
We're aware of that.
Okay. So, honestly, for me personally, I don't have an issue with dogs in the workplace. And in Jess's situation especially, because she's kind of in her own area, it's not like the dog's out wandering around bothering people. When I bring my dogs to work, not so much my golden retriever, usually he just chills out. But my pit bull, she has to go see everybody. And if there's a door open, she'll go through it to find somebody to talk to, So that could be annoying to some people. There are people that just plain don't like dogs. When I first got to Wilton, they had a sign, no dogs allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So my first question was, why do we have no dogs allowed? Only because, you have the service animals, everybody's always asking questions. Oh, well, a resident used to come in with a German Shepherd that was kind of vicious, used to growl and snap at other people that were, at the town clerk's counter. Okay, how long ago was that? Well, that was 13 years ago. I said, that dog is dead. I said, any other dog problems? I said, nope. I said, good, the sign's coming down. I said, we have too many people that, bring their pets in for various reasons, as long as they're well behaved, and I already had that discussion with Jess. I said, as long as it doesn't become a problem, I personally don't have an issue with it. If it's not being destructive, not damaging the building, not making noise, not destroying the rugs, then for me, I don't have an issue. You know, I said, if I get complaints, then we'll have another discussion. Now, apparently, Nancy and Carlene don't like dogs. So that's what I heard, kind of through the grapevine, without knowing this was coming.
I've got problems with a dog, not because I don't like dogs. I have
Yep.
3 dogs.
Yep.
So dogs are great as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Problem is, one, liability. What happens if the dog happens to nip somebody? It gets out for whatever reason, because they do push through,
Yep.
and actually bites, nips somebody, town's liable.
Yep.
Number 2, what if every employee decides they want to have a dog?
Well,
You know, we could be inundated.
Or a cat,
Or
or
but
a,
you can, but you can change the policy at any time as
And-
well.
And finally, there are some people who are allergic to animals. They have allergies.
Yeah,
And if somebody starts sneezing, because I'm allergic to cats even though I have one, you know, it can be problematic.
I would,
So I would say, yeah, we should have a no pet policy unless it's a service animal.
I would agree with Bert. I love dogs. I don't think a public workplace is where they should be. And if an employee would ask me, well, what about the one across the street? My response would be, the police chief operates his department. If that's up to him, our purview should be here.
Well,
And that,
your purview is all town facilities.
it is,
Selectmen.
it is. I understand that. But that is a separate facility now, had, and I don't want this ever to happen, but had that police station been part of this building here, I probably would have looked at it differently.
Yeah.
You know, but I agree, because I'm saying, you're opening the door, and we're saying, well, you know, it's a dog. Well, if so-and-so wants to bring in their cat, are we gonna deny them that?
Well, everybody eats cats.
God bless.
I'm only kidding.
Yeah, I know we're not. But that's my point.
I
is
resemble
somebody
that
does-
remark.
Yeah. No, I've got too many cats
Yeah,
to say
but I'm
that.
just saying, you know, it goes to that, and then somebody else has a different animal. Well, I wanna bring that, well,
They goes to
I
Shetland Pond.
kind of would rather nip it in the bud and say, let's just leave it as a,
At this time, no. And that, like I said, and to me, all that could have been handled very appropriately. I didn't like the way it was handled.
right.
I thought it was very inappropriate. I thought it was childish. So I don't have a problem. Put it this way, I'm with Scott. I don't have a problem with dogs, but I also agree with both of you. There are lots of things that would have to be looked at in order to make a policy to allow dogs here. If that's something, again, I don't think it's a decision we should rush to or make a decision on tonight. Down the road, I think if it's brought up, we can discuss it. But for right now, I think the safest thing to do is just say, right now, we are a dog-free employer. But at the same point, I would not put up a sign, Scott, that says no dogs allowed. Someone comes in, their dog is well behaved. He's not going to piddle in the room while they're getting their dog license done or their driver's license or whatever. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not going to tell someone, tie your dog up outside. I'm not going to do that. But as far as an employee here all day long, I would at this point say,
What would you say if somebody came in to a meeting here with a dog?
I would allow them to be here. I'm not going to deny them. I'm not going to tell them
See,
to get
wouldn't-
us.
I would
would
ask
not
them to
think that
remove the animal.
Yes, I would.
I wouldn't.
Good thing you're not the chief.
Reason being is I worked here at the bank for 5 years. We would have several people bring their dogs inside quite regularly without any problem.
I agree with you. I agree. If they're coming into the front office, they're coming in and they're leaving. If they were coming in for a meeting and they're gonna be here for a length of time,
Realistically, any town property opens us up to
Yeah.
liability.
yeah.
And I can check that with Primex, just.
Yeah,
to see.
because I'll be honest, I don't think it does. I think if they brought their dog into a public facility and their dog bites someone, they are responsible.
We all know when something goes wrong, everybody gets rooked at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they look
But
for the.
that could be,
It could be anything.
it could be anything. It could be someone comes in for a meeting, puts their cane on the floor, so-and-so trips over it.
Yep.
You can tell everyone, don't bring your canes in.
Right.
They're a tripping hazard.
Right.
No, I don't have an issue with
No,
that.
no, no. I'm not saying they can't bring their
No,
kids.
but no.
I'm just saying though that I agree that when something does go wrong, everybody, and if you can avoid it without any incident, I can't ever remember anybody coming into a meeting with an animal.
Neither can I. So why make a policy on it?
I'm not saying we're making a policy. I'm right now just trying to address the policy of the workplace.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Policy of the workplace.
Yep.
But I'm not going to put a no dogs allowed sign up
Right.
front.
Okay, so,
So if you could gently ask Jess to leave her dog at home.
okay, so, somebody wanna make a motion on the policy, employees can't bring dogs to the workplace?
A motion that at this time we are a pet-free employer. I'm not going to say pet-free employer
Yep.
unless it is a registered service animal.
Yeah, which we can't deny anyway.
I'll second that.
But I want to make sure that it says registered service animal.
No, that's not true. My wife does service dogs, okay? And when they're in training, they're allowed.
Yeah.
So,
But but that's
just to clarify your
But I also
comment.
don't want someone slapping a vest on a peacock
Yep.
and bringing it in. Which you laugh, but it happened at the airport.
Yep.
It happened in Boston.
What were you trying to do now?
An emotional support peacock?
It was an emotional support peacock, and the guy wanted to bring it on the plane.
One of my neighbors has a peacock. Sometimes I come down the road and it's standing in the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're
But,
foul
so,
creatures.
you know, but again, I am not opposed at some point down the road, if it, that we would address it and have a true discussion and come up with but
You can take that on. Was there a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
again, because I also agree with the fact of, well, he's great, he's well behaved. Well, both my dogs are well behaved, but they're both needy little suckers, and I mean, one of them will just chill out, like you said. One of them, is old, man. He'll find a corner and he'll fall asleep. And the other one is going to go say hi to everybody before he goes and chills out.
Yeah.
And I've never owned a dog that didn't at one point or another do something foul on the carpet.
Any other business?
Just trying to go through the emails here that we've been getting. Were you going to be trying to get something in the building code budget for that software? And where do we stand on that?
So, we got a proposal from the MSI.
Yep.
So we had the Avatar proposal, the DMSI proposal, and the iWork proposal. DMSI kind of came in the middle price-wise, but much more functional than Avatar. There are some significant upfront costs, one-time costs, depending on what modules we would like to take advantage of, but they will allow us to spread those costs over 5 years, no interest. So I can get those numbers together for you. That honestly looked as good from a functionality and user interface as the iWork proposal, but at less money, but it looked far superior to the Avatar proposal. And you can add the module that allows people to do their applications online, pay for them online, et cetera. So I think just as a times, productivity and convenience to, homeowners and anybody else applying for a permit, not to mention you get to collect the money, right away. Makes it look like a good selection, but I can get you all the information on that and get you the pricing. I will try to, scan the proposal and email it to you so you can look it over.
All three?
All three.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have all three.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we do.
Can we
I know
get
we
some
have.
new Velcro and tape too, in that budget?
Why would
I
you
think there's some out there.
This thing keeps falling off.
Yeah, they were tested, they do work.
I'm sure they do, but if they're
Yeah.
on the
For some reason,
floor.
I'm thinking there's some on the shelf out there.
Yeah.
Is there?
I thought there was. Like one of those boxes that
Yeah,
you.
I'm gonna designate this to you.
I don't want to touch that. That's why it's by your chair.
I'll fix that tomorrow.
Yeah. Remember, Dave, some of us might not feel as scared in this
Oh, yeah,
room.
I
I'm
keep
sure.
trying to
Yeah.
wipe that out. What's that?
I said some of us might not feel as scared in this room as you do.
That's because some of you pack.
Just never been escorted from the building inspector's office by a policeman.
I have to look around and see where it got moved to. I thought there used to be a.
Well, I just threw it away, so now it's up to you.
No.
Yeah, just leave it in the corner, we're gonna have a meeting first thing in the morning, well,
You might need it.
Yeah.
Uh,
I might, the police chief is gonna be at that meeting, he's got a gun.
He's got an announcement to make about dogs.
That's gonna be real popular.
Did you get anything on the Parks and Rec capital reserve expenses and revenues for the individual activities?
No. I did not get anything back.
No. This shouldn't be back from them. This should be something Roger provides you. Remember we said that those
Okay.
different activities were supposed to have been,
Oh,
Cost
right,
code.
right,
Yeah.
gotcha.
But Nicole was also supposed to be tracking that as well.
and we discussed this in your absence
I know.
last week extensively, is that she can do it, I think, for her own edification. But from this board and for her, it should be what comes through.
Right, if it's all being good, but at least at least we would have something. I mean, like I said, she should be tracking already prior to asking for Roger. Did that make money or lose money? I mean, that's something she should be looking at. And I created that spreadsheet for her.
That's the problem. I don't know how, it didn't sound like she was fluent with it, and that's why when we asked if she didn't at the time, and she may have easily been able to go on and press a button, but it didn't sound that way, and we
No,
thought,
and trust me, every time I see her, I'm like, "How's that spreadsheet working?" I haven't really got
Yeah,
it. I'm like, you know,
Well, here's my problem with that presentation last week, and I wanted to talk about it in the meeting, was she asked for raises to her stipends in a couple areas, and she's doing a marvelous job managing the events and the departments, but the other half of the job is managing the accounting for the revenues and expenditures, and that half of the job is not getting done. So how can we possibly justify paying her for only additional monies for only doing half the job?
I mean, and I knew.
I mean, now's not the time to be ready. When she comes back, that's a discussion that can be had.
Well, I just wanted to.
No,
get it
and
out.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the whole pieces. I sat down right after budget season last year and said, "This is it's pretty easy." I said, "At least you would know what you're spending."
Well, one of the things she was saying that she wasn't aware of at the time was that, like the pool chemicals, 50% of it was supposed to come out of the revolving account, because we had said that, the swim team and the lessons cost should offset it. And that's why she says, well, I'm looking at, I bought way too many chemicals. And we said, well, no, 50%. Well, I didn't know that. And I'm just saying, at some point in time, she's got to be able to understand that. And I guess that was the other thing, and not that we're making a decision about it, but one of the things when she was talking about trying to increase the stipends is, you know, does it come out of that revolving fund, since the stipend is part of those tasks? But I said when she comes back, we'll try and address all of it. Anything else?
I'm gonna get hate mail for saying that.
Yeah, that thing.
The thing about
No.
cats,
No.
you just wait.
Oh, you will.
See.
You will.
No.
Well, that David yelled at me a couple years ago. I
I've
said-
never yelled at you.
Yeah. Well, you looked at me. The cameras are on.
Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
That's every week,
the
John.
the chief told us how much it costs them to bring an animal, to bring a cat to Keene. So I asked him how much one round cost, and I said, "Use your budget wisely." And Dave reminded me that
Bert,
the
did you
camera.
make a motion to adjourn?
I have not, but I will. I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.